Good evening, Nancy. So this is a summary of what we did last Friday. Just a few issues with QuickTime. QuickTime doesn't want to save my files. It's taking forever. Anyways, we talked about art. Art and let me just go back to the right. There we go. So we talk about art, and so there is a contemporary art, modern art. If you check the book I sent you, this is right there. Art can come, can start in different periods, prehistoric time, medieval, or it can be more present, more current. So, before art was sharing a message, an idea, a concept, a movement. Now it's a bit, I would say, a bit abstract. Okay, so when we take a look at this kind of books, it can be prehistoric art, Egyptian, Roman, Renaissance, etc. So Chapel Sistine. So many artists were commissioned to make art. They were commissioned to make religious art, and that was a great way to make money. So Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. So Pablo Picasso is considered to be a thief, a cheater, didn't respect women. He was scared of death, but he was a pretty weird character. Okay, so anyway, commissioned to paint or commissioned art. Pablo Picasso, he painted different movements, and he had a lot of famous paintings, Guernica or Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. He had different concubines, different wives, different kids, so he had a busy private life. He stole two small African wooden sculptures from a museum, and this is when he started making his Cubist movement. So that was convenient. So he said, an artist has to steal, but literally that was not nice to do that. Simone de Beauvoir was well known in the 50s around that with different books. She was not a feminist, but at the time many women didn't have any rights. They couldn't vote, they couldn't have an abortion, they couldn't have a bank account, they couldn't. Well, pretty much they were just taking care of the house, the cooking, and the kids all day long. And the new generation saw this kind of stuff, and they were like, I'm not going to have the same life as my mom or my grandmother, or etc., etc. So they were rebelling, and the feminist movement took a very stronger aspect on this level. So anyway, the artistic aspect is quite important in any kind of culture. We cannot neglect that. A society cannot just be all about living, harvesting, hunting. No, life is a tiny bit more than that. Okay, this is what we called pointillism, because you have different dots. Okay, that was part of the Impressionism, when paintings were still making sense at that time. Okay, prehistoric art. The different artistic influences, different mediums, but natural mediums, nothing chemical or plasticky or this kind of stuff. The Egyptian art as well. The Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, they were influenced by the Greek Empire as well. So you have what we call the masterworks. Coming back to what we were doing, so be careful, we're going to come back to more, we're going to use again All Clear number 3, concerning, the different wives. One was exceptional, Jacqueline, and she was the only one who left him, and he was so pissed, so jealous, so selfish in a sense. It's just like he was the one to cheat on women, but the woman couldn't leave him. So he was a bit like self-centered, egomaniac, megaloman. It's like this kind of person. Everything is about themselves. He had a son, his oldest son, who committed suicide because he was, I think, you know, the complex of having a father as Pablo Picasso. The kid was, he couldn't compete, and his dad was always like criticizing him, always saying bad stuff to him. So the kid thought he was worth nothing, and one day he committed suicide. So when you have parents like that, you know, you can talk about religion and whatever, you know. I think you just have some psychiatric issues. But anyway, this fellow Pablo Picasso was what we call the, you know, at that time he was Spanish, but he lived in France, but he had this complex, you know, this Latino kind of behavior. And especially at that time, women didn't have too many rights, or they couldn't be great painters or artists. So that was convenient for, you know, the society created by men. Anyway, that's probably why nothing is working. So we come back to enclair number 3, and let's see if we can also have like a few minutes of artistic chat, just to see what you think, what you see, how you feel about all this kind of stuff. Okay, it's just to put in perspective everything we did so far. You have a nice evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Take care, Nancy. Bye-bye.